Hey there, my name is Rohit Kumar, and today I'm back with a new journal review. And today's journal is not as well known as you have a basic notion of understanding about the GNCA, GCS, ad hoc networks, etc. But it's also a quite good journal, and as the name shows here, the simulation modeling practice and theory. So it is specifically focusing on the mathematical modeling and the theoretical computer science. So here you can go for the basic understanding of modeling, then its implementation and the theoretical aspects. And you can explore various opportunities what you can do with your work in terms of publishing with this particular journal. Okay, so it's a quite popular and well-known journal in the field of simulation and modeling. But usually computer science people go with the FGCS, JNCA, ad hoc networks, vehicular communication sort of things. So that's why they don't know much about these things. But still, I will explore it and will let you know some of the factors and the key matrices related with this particular journal. Okay, so let's start. So these are the basic things, articles and the issues information given over here, like the usual uh, Elsevier journal. Then the aims and the scope, editorial board, abstracting and indexing. It's an important thing. So let's see first of all whether the journal is SCI indexed or not. Okay, so in the SCI indexed, as we do focus on SCI only, so as you can see that the Science Citation Index expanded means it's an SCIE journal, which is synonymous to SCI journal, and that's why it's good to publish with if you want to have your PhD or sort of degree, because in India degrees are awarded based on the SCI indexed journals only. Okay, then moving forward and coming to the publication, then there you have all the details with respect to your submitting article, guide for authors, call for papers, open access, language, and the author services option. Then you can order with respect to the personal or the institutional subscription. Then the option of searching, submitting, and the guide for authors. Coming to the metrics, so here you can see that the site score is good, that is 6.1, and the impact factor is also pretty good, that is 3.2. Okay, usually JNC or FGCS that is above than 5, but you can't compare every journal with those journals, because as we do know that the popularity and the wide audience base, that is the main factor, that how many articles are being submitted to a particular journal and how many of those are accepted. So again, means more number of accepted articles means more data to throw at audience, and that's why the audience is going to capture in both handedly, because if you are publishing in a good reputed journal and then audience knows that this particular journal is going to offer very good content and more number of articles are there, then obviously the more number of citations, more number of reviews are going to come from the more number of reviews are going to come from the readers side, and this way means readers, many times we do confuse between the authors and readers, because authors are also readers and readers are by default readers. But point is, some readers are authors also, but need not to be necessarily, and that's why I usually get interchangeably trying to make a difference between these two things, because many times we do use these two terms interchangeably. But in my opinion, I will use author specifically for the readers who are going to write a paper. So please pardon me if I make some confusion or make some error while discussing these two terms. So here the editorial board information, here you can go and see that the Helen Karadze, she's from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and that is the Greece. So she is the real-time distributed system cloud for computing, scheduling algorithms, performance evaluation, and computer system expert. And you can contact with her on this particular email ID. And then the other editorial board members, including the Zacharias Arigostanistis, and then Muhammad Alayu, then Maman Alzar, then Mayad Alukaili, then Muhammad Asmirat, and Irfan Awan, Kostin Badika, George Barbosa, etc. Okay, so many editorial board members are present here, as you can see, and their related details are also present. So again, seeing this editorial board information, moving on to the abstracting and indexing. So we have already seen abstracting and indexing. Okay. So aim and scope, that is important because it's a less known journal for computer science people, but still that is good for mathematical background people also, as well as the people who are interested in simulation specifically. Then the simulation modeling practice and theory provides a forum for original high quality papers, and these are the ethical guidelines. Means usually every journal says that your work should be kind of ethical, means it should be original high quality papers only are supposed to get accepted. But what is high quality means these terms are very subjective. So if you want to get a notion of high quality, always go to the latest issue of the journal and then explore some of the articles. If you don't have the subscription, go for the open access, because every journal offers some of the articles in the form of open access articles. Because in every issue, few of the authors are chosen as open access also, because journal also provide the kind of notion to audience that what kind of works are being accepted recently. Okay, so in this way, you can go to the journal, you can have a review, or you can go to the Google Scholar or some platform which offers you the kind of access to the research articles which are published recently in that particular journal. Okay, and one of the idea of getting articles is to contact the authors also. If you don't get article anywhere, then you can directly contact to the author of the paper, and then obviously if you request, then author will send you the copy, because every author is supposed to get a author copy from the publisher, and in this way they can maintain or send their copy to for reference to any of the audience that is asking for it. Okay, so the paper submission is solicited on the theoretical aspects. As I told you that the theoretical computer science papers are welcome. Then the modeling and simulation, including the formal modeling, model checking, random number generators, sensitive analysis. Random number generator is also a very high focus with respect to the hardware security, and the variance reduction techniques, experimental design, meta modeling. Then the validation and the verification, which is very important from simulation point of view. Then the comparison procedures, etc. Okay, coming to the methodology and application, then here you can see that the computer systems, networks, real-time and embedded systems. So as I was telling you that when you come to the domain of embedded system, this validation, verification, and the modeling components, these things become very important. Okay, then coming to the mobile environment, the intelligent agents, manufacturing, transportation systems, management, engineering, biomedical engineering, economics, ecology, environment, education, and the transaction handling. Then simulation languages and the environments. In this, you have the focus specific to distributed computing, grid computing, high performance computing, etc. Then real-time simulation, simulation interoperability, pretty good topic to work on. Then the tools for high performance checking, means whatever are the topics which are related to the simulations, modeling, or the kind of theoretical analysis. Then in this way, you can discuss or plan your work, and then you can present it to this particular journal for kind of evaluation. And if they do see that your work is falling into their scope, then they will definitely consider it and will let you know. And after being paper under review, then you can relax because it is being evaluated by the reviewers. Okay, coming to the theory part, a theory may play an important role in a paper, but it should be presented in the context of its applicability to the work being described, as I told you. Okay, means you should go onto the scope of the journal very seriously, because if your paper is not lying into the scope and you are unnecessarily trying with a particular journal, or you are shifting from one journal to another, then it's a pain wastage of time. Okay, so don't do that. And the special issues are also offered time to time, so you can check for those special issues also. So coming to the other things, I think in publish you can go for the open access options also. Here you can find the open access options in detail, etc. And if you want to search anything like open access paper, etc., then you can search here. Okay, search in this journal. So some of the articles you can find. Okay, so like if I want to search in modeling in SDN. So here you can see that the QoS performance enhancement policy through combining fog and SDN. So in this way, or the fast prototyping of routing and SDN protocols. So here you can see that with respect to NS3, they have shown some with respect to or outside of NS3, sorry. Okay, then fuzzy topology discovery protocols for SDN-based wireless sensor network, etc. So in this way, whatever you want to search with respect to a particular journal, just go to the search box and you can do it. Okay. Then submitting your articles, guide for the authors, etc. Details are presented. Coming down. Okay, we are not at the home page. Here it is the home page. So coming down here, time to first decision, that is 2 weeks. Pretty good. Means just within 15 days you are supposed to get your first decision, and it is very good time. Okay, though it is minimum, means whatever is mentioned on the websites of any journal, that is the minimum time, but still it is very good. Okay, then the review time is 3.2 weeks, that is fine. Then publication time is 1.6, again it's fine. Then the acceptance rate is 8%. That's bit low, means very low. Really means usually the acceptance ratio of journals usually range between 10 to 15%, but as you can see here that it is 8%. It is pretty means a tough competition for acceptance. So you should write your paper judiciously, and you need to focus on a specific topic that lies in the scope of this particular journal, and then only you need to have an acceptance. So as I was telling you that the acceptance rate, then the self-citation, then the how many open access papers are being accepted, then all these things impact the impact factor. Means all these things influence this concept of impact factor. So don't have a wrong assumption that if the impact factor is 3, oh, it is less than FGCS or the JNCA or ad hoc networks, so it's not a good journal in comparison to those. It is not like that. Okay, because if, for example, computer communications, while I made a video with respect to computer communications, I also told that that journal offered a single track, that is computer communications and networks. So that's why the journal who are offering multiple quartiles or the multiple tracks of publishing, obviously they'll accept more papers. And if they are accepting more papers, there is a general notion and the common conclusion that they are going to get more citations and the more wider audience base. So in this way, they are supposed to have more, means higher impact factor. So if the journal is focusing strictly on the quality or the kind of content that is exclusively falling into the scope of that particular journal, then obviously the impact factor is going to be a bit low, but it doesn't impact the reputation of the journal. Okay, though common people have wrong assumption or the myth that impact factor is going to solely say everything about the journal, but it is not like that. Okay, as I usually tell that if you don't want to have more number of metrics at your side, then have at least maintain 3 basics. First thing, that whether the journal is Q1 ranked, if not, then whether it is SCI, then go for the impact factor. First, you should see that journal should be SCI. Secondly, it should be Q1, and then the impact factor. If it is not Q1, Q2, Q3, whatever, but SCI first, then look for the Q ranking, and then look for the impact factor. Okay, then you can decide the best journal for your work. That is my realization. Okay, your might be different, and if you have some other criteria of judging the quality work or the quality of a particular journal with respect to your publication, then please let me know in the comments. I will learn through your comments. Okay, going to the SCI Mago site, and here we are going to have the simulation modeling practice and theory evaluation. So here you can see the H index is not as high in comparison to FGCS or GNCA, but as I told you, it doesn't make much impact because again, the acceptance ratio, the number of articles being accepted as open access, etc. So many things influence these things. So as you can see that this journal focuses on focuses in two different directions, computer science and the mathematics. So from mathematics point of view, it focuses onto the modeling and simulation, and from computer science, it focuses on the hardware architecture and software. Okay, so total, I think 3 quarters, 3 tracks are there. It's a Netherlands journal having a coverage from 2002 to 2021. Then some basic links are provided here. Coming to the scope, okay, that's very important with respect to every journal. So here again, the ethical guidelines that the paper should be original, high quality, and dealing with this different aspects of systems, especially aiming on the modeling. Okay, but in particular, the paper should focus on the theoretical aspect of modeling and simulation, including the formal modeling, model checking, random number generator, sensitivity analysis, variance reduction techniques, and methodology of modeling and simulation in different areas, including the computer system, networks, real-time system, embedded system, mobile and intelligent agents, etc. Okay. In addition to these, the distributed computing, grid computing, high performance computers, tool for high performance computing, simulation, etc. are also being covered. Okay. So I think you have got a basic idea that what kind of domains you need to focus on and what kind of content you need to specifically drill down onto. Then the three portals which the journal is focusing on: hardware and architecture, modeling and simulation, and software. So as you can say that the except hardware and architecture, the other two portals started as Q4, means the ranking was very bad, means in comparison to JNC and FGCS, if I say. Okay, it didn't start well, but later you can see that performance is going on improvement, and as you can see that in between it was Q1 also. Currently it is offering as the Q2 ranking. So it's pretty good, and in future it might turn into Q1, but still it is good one. Okay, so it's a Q2 journal, and here with respect to the SGR metric, you can see the variance, then the total number of documents published. So here in 2020, 132 articles were accepted, and then citations per document. So you can see that last 2 year citation is high, and it is obvious, means with respect to any journal, it is you will find this kind of analytics that in last 2 years it grew fast. And why it is so? Because usually the research is happening more as the technology is advancing. The reach is becoming easy, and that's why people are having more and newer ways of accessing research articles. Earlier, accessing the articles was only possible through the subscription, etc. But now some open source versions are also available. People are sharing their copies, they are uploading, means the authors are uploading their published paper onto their personal websites or the database. So in this way, different sorts of options are available to reach to the research articles, and that's why the research in the last 2 years is always better than with respect to the last 3 or 4 years. Then external citations and external citation per document is almost mapping to the citation per document, but still there is a gap. Okay, so here you can see that the total citation and the self citation gap is wide enough, but still the self citations are there, that is 83. Okay, so self citation is always a point of to worry, because more the self citations, less credibility of the journal comes into the picture. Okay, then moving on to the international collaboration percentage. So in 2020, it was 27.27%. Then the citable documents and non-citable documents. So then the uncited documents and the cited documents. So initially the uncited documents were very high because it kind of started. So in starts it happens, but now you can see that this green area is getting wider and wider. So it's better. In 2011, it was the best one, I think. Yeah, it is almost similar to this one, 2022. Okay, so you in this way you can see, and overall the simulation modeling in practice is offering Q2 ranking with respect to the hardware and architecture. That is the best part. So if you are trying to publish with this particular journal, you need to go through these metrics and need to make a decision whether it's suitable for your work or not. Additionally, if you want to gain some of the information whether this particular journal is lining into your research domain or not, I need to tell you some of the research areas in which this particular journal is focusing on. So with respect to my analysis, some of the key research domains or the focuses are the operational management, system engineering, traffic psychology, engineering business, then the dynamic systems theory, then the direct numerical simulation, experimental economics, energy economics, engineering, fluid dynamics, then the system theory, and then computational sociology. Okay, additionally, the keywords, means these are the research focuses, but in every research domain or focuses, there are some key terms or the key technologies that you need to focus on. So with respect to my analysis, some of the keywords that you need to focus on are the modeling and simulation, quite obvious. Then the agent-based models, again quite obvious, because when you have the modeling of a particular system, then you need to have some agent-based concepts. If it is related to, especially in robotics, the agent-based modeling is quite popular. Then discrete event simulation. Again, discrete event is very much popular in real world, because in real world, so discrete events are more, and that's why you do need to perform several sorts of understanding. Means why I'm saying in real life, continuous events happen usually, okay, but when you are having simulation or analysis with respect to the computer analysis, then obviously you need to take some samples. That's why those continuous events also need to be evaluated having the concept of discrete events, okay. So then the concept of meta modeling, then finite element models, then the concept of multi-agent systems, system dynamics, simulations, co-simulations, then the real-time simulations, and the parallel computing. So overall, the focus is totally dependent on the modeling and simulation. And if you have some theoretical concepts, means the theoretical basis of that modeling and simulation, that's also fine. Okay, so I hope that you have got the necessary information in which direction you need to move your research in order to publish with this particular journal. And if you want to have a glimpse or the discussion that what kind of institutes are publishing in this particular journal, then French National Center for Scientific Research, Delft University of Technology, then University of Calabria, then Tsinghua University, University of Vienna, and the University of Lille, then University of Rome, then Arizona State University, and in addition to these, the National Research Council, Islamic Azad University, Tehran, etc. Okay, so these are some of the universities which are actively involved in the research in this particular journal. Additionally, if you want to have the kind of understanding that authors, means the authors of this particular journal have also been publishing in some other journals. It is important because many times we do try to find a similar sort of journal, but